Hello everyone, how are you guys doing? I hope that you all are having a fantastic night. We're going to be talking about a few different interesting things tonight. A dislike brings only death to you and yours. Wow, that's harsh for a dislike. That's harsh for a dislike. Echo? Sometimes this microphone absolutely hates me, but I hope that it's better now. Sometimes. Is it better or is it not? Good. Frank gave me a good. That could be a trick though. Could be an absolute trick. It is better? Good. If it messes up again, let me know. Sometimes it just doesn't like me. Hello everyone, how are you guys doing? I hope that you're all having a fantastic night. Tonight we're going to talk about a couple of different interesting things. I want to talk a little bit more about violence in video games, which I did do a video on earlier. If you guys have not seen it, go and check it out. I want to talk about CloudFlare terminating 8chan and its DDoS protection in that situation. I also want to discuss ooblets and the developers mocking gamers, and the statement that Epic Games released today, practically saying they don't care what we think. I also want to talk about Mixer versus Twitch, and also Tim Sweeney blatantly just saying they don't know what to do with Unreal Tournament, so that's why we've seen nothing else with it, which is wonderful to think that, you know, a company the size of Epic doesn't know what to do with one of their games. So that's what we'll be talking about today. Was it an Echo or Vero's robot side coming out? I mean, who knows? Who knows? This is the first time I think I've caught your streams. I love your commentary. Thank you, thank you. I'm glad that you enjoy it. Thank you, I appreciate it. So how is everyone doing tonight? I hope that you guys are doing good. Mixer is anti-thought. Just because they have guidelines about the way people can and cannot dress. I mean, women can, I mean, before we get into the discussion, women can still kind of dress in scantily clad ways. I'm doing good, very good. Alright, I think I'm all caught up in the chat. This is gonna be an interesting night to talk about, because we are talking about some more heavy-hitting topics. I know that I discussed violence in video games earlier, which if you didn't see that video yet, go and check it out. It's the most recent video on the channel. But I wanted to talk about it more in depth. Because I feel as though it's a it's a very hot topic right now, but I feel as though it's very important to just discuss more. Because even though I did the video, I felt as though it doesn't hurt to continue bringing awareness to it. Because with all the negative media surrounding it right now, I figured we'd contribute to the positive media. I'm doing great, got myself a new review copy to play. Sweet. Nice. That's awesome. I think you said that earlier in Discord. Hello from Germany. We have so many German viewers. Hello. Welcome to the stream. I hope your night is going well. I saw your tweet on Twitter, but I don't even know you. But hi. Hello. Welcome to the stream. I appreciate it. Alright. So I guess we're going to start off with the first article, which is an article from PBS, which I thought was fairly interesting. Analysis. Why it's time to stop blaming video games for real-world violence. Thank you, PBS. I just want to say this is linked under their science category, and I'm very glad that they wrote this and published this. I appreciate this. So, in the wake of the El Paso shooting on August 3rd that left 21 dead and dozens injured, a familiar trope has reemerged. Often, when a young man is the shooter, people try to blame the tragedy on violent video games and other forms of media, and we've already seen this happening in groves today. Now, if you guys don't know, on Twitter, hashtag video games are not to blame and hashtag video games are to blame are both trending on Twitter. This conversation is kind of ignited because today, Mr. President Donald Trump made a statement saying that it is video games that we should be looking at, which it will get into in just a second. But that is kind of what sparked this. You know when news outlets and whatnot cover it, and journalists cover it, it doesn't have the same effect as when the President of the United States talks about it. Because then anyone that does not know the situation and know how deep it really runs and how many years, this has kind of been something that's talked about. They don't understand kind of how far that really goes. When someone like the president is saying it, they'll just blindly believe it. This time around, Texas Governor Dan Patrick placed some of the blame on the video game industry that teaches young people to kill. Now, I just want to kind of point out that, yeah, there are video games, obviously, where you kill people or individuals, whether that's a human, an alien, whatever it may be. But there are so many games that do not do that. Guys, Stardew Valley is such a violent game, I can't believe they allow it. Guys, Minecraft is so violent. I mean, you kill people with diamond swords. Violent, censored. Whenever we hear discussions about this, they never bring up the other side of video games. They only bring up what fits in their narrative, and that's, it teaches young people to kill. They never bring up the fact that video games have been proven to help people and help younger people, and how many video games don't actually fall into the category of like first-person shooters or video games, whereas you are killing people. Which I would love to see someone ask Donald Trump, okay, so you're arguing that Stardew Valley makes people violent, that Farm Simulator 2019 makes people violent? Kevin McCarthy of California went on to condemn video games that dehumanize individuals as a problem for future generations. As President Trump pointed out to society's glorification of violence, including gruesome and grisly video games. Gruesome and grisly video games. I made this point in the video today. Why is it that we are just specifically looking at video games? I raise this question because why are we not also looking at other forms of media, maybe like movies? It is because these people, these public figures that are saying video games are bad, it's, you know, a problem for future generations, they're dehumanizing individuals, it's because they understand movies. They watch movies, they like movies, and they do not see movies the same as video games. And that is because they do not understand video games. They do not understand the escapism that comes with video games. They do not understand why people want to escape and look at video games as such a positive thing. They do not understand that. And that is the problem. If they are going to kind of talk about these things and blame video games, then maybe they should try to understand why over a third of the population in the world plays video games. I just don't understand why they do not consider that. It's because this is all a knee-jerk reaction. You know, one politician or one public figure starts to say it's video games, and then another says video games, and then they all say it's video games, because they're just trying to come up with the fastest answer that they can give to people. And unfortunately, when it comes to situations like this, Video games is always something that's very easy and very foolproof in a way to throw under the bus, even though it's not because of video games. Even though it's not because of video games. You want them to ban a game just because you do not like it. We do not need government regulation in games. The second that the government starts to regulate video games, it's done. The industry is done. It will go downhill.
To be fair, Stardew Valley has guns in it. Legend of the Fire
no.
King mini game is a twin stick shooter.
Oh man. That fucking Stardew Valley, guys. Stardew Valley, it's toxic. Ban it. Thank you for the $3 donation, Tony. I very much so appreciate it. Hello, Kyoji. How are you doing? Don't buy the game. Move on easy as that. I mean, to the conversation in chat of it should be banned because you don't like it, that is a very silly argument. I would never call. I am not okay with people calling for censorship of something just because they do not like it. So, we need to go back to the root of the issue. Duck hunt. Yes. We need to stop de-animalizing ducks. It's disgusting. Get PETA in here. Mario. He's toxic. What other games? Donkey Kong, that's an awful game. Should be censored. You're throwing things at other animals. Disgusting. Sarcasm. Sorry, guys. This is reminding me about the article I wrote discussing government regulation in the gaming industry. This is a problem. Is that as soon as the government starts to regulate video games, that's it. It's going to become a problem. Because once they get that small little grasp on the industry, they will pull and pull and pull until it's all gone. Until there's nothing left that we want. And that is something that people need to realize. Okay, I understand that, you know, when it comes to loot boxes and whatnot, that's another discussion, because without video games we wouldn't have loot boxes, but as soon as you give them an inch, they'll take 5.5 miles. Mario was a metaphor for drugs, ban it. These are the same connections. A Florida lawmaker made after the Parkland shooting in February, suggesting that the gunman in that case was prepared to pick off students like it's a video game. See, this is the thing. If he had said pick off students like it's in a movie, or had said the title of a movie, they would have completely skimmed over that, and they completely would have not discussed that specific topic, and they wouldn't have even highlighted that line, because they know so many people enjoy video games, and so many people understand movies, that they know that it would be useless to say. But they think that we can blame video games because not as many people understand them. Their mentality behind blaming video games is outdated and awful. This is the good part. This is the good part. But speaking as a researcher who has studied violent video games for almost 15 years, I can state that there is no evidence to support these claims that violent media and real-world violence are connected. Man, PBS writers, these guys are great. I should read PBS more. They're proud of themselves. They're confident. I should read PBS more. Guys, subscribe to PBS. As far back as 2011, the U.S. Supreme Court ruled that research did not find a clear connection between violent video games and aggressive behavior. And this is the thing. It is unsubstantiated. The connection that they say there is between violent video games and aggressive behavior. Maybe we should all read PBS with you, Vera? I mean, hell yeah, PBS is... They're doing something right. They're doing something right. Criminologists who studied mass shootings specifically refer to those sorts of connections as a myth. And in 2017, the Media Psychology and Technology Division of the APA, American Psychological Association, released a statement I helped craft, suggesting reporters and policymakers cease linking mass shootings to violent media given the lack of evidence for a link. Where is the evidence? That's what I want. That is, whenever someone says video games lead to violence, where is the link? Where is the evidence? That's my question. A history of moral panic. The first is the psychological research community's efforts to market itself as strictly scientific. This led to a replication crisis, instead with researchers often unable to repeat the results of their studies. Bear PBS and mint chocolate chip Oreos. What a way to end my Monday. Sounds good. Jack Thompson did a great job against Rockstar. I did see that, Zach. Slasher did a very, very great interview today on Fox News. It was a very, very good one to hear. If you guys have not heard that, I would definitely look it up. Reviewing all the scholarly literature, my own research has examined the degree to which violent video games can or can't predict youth aggression and violence. In a 2015 meta-analysis, I examined 101 studies on the subject and found that violent video games had little impact on kids' aggression, mood, helping behaviors, or grades. 2 years later, I found evidence that scholarly journals' editorial biases had distorted the scientific record on violent video games. Experimental studies that found effects were more likely to be published than studies that had found none. This was consistent with others' findings. As the Supreme Court noted, any impacts due to video games are nearly impossible to distinguish from the effects of other media, like cartoons and movies. Any claims that there is consistent evidence that violent video games encourage aggression are simply false. Thank you. Whenever I read articles like this, it makes me so happy, because if there was a clear link and there was enough research and scientific evidence behind it, that obviously would be what we would be talking about, but there's not. And that's a big part of it. It's nearly impossible to distinguish from the effects of other media like cartoons and movies. It's not like kids are just playing video games. We have to consider that as well. Almost all, kids that are like 10 and up now, they all have smartphones, or at least a cell phone. They all have access to the internet. They are seeing other forms of media that, yes, maybe they should not be seeing, whether that is Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. There are so many other forms of media, and look at things like cartoons. Cartoons are so suggestive, we have to also consider that as well. In movies, they're watching movies that maybe they should not be watching because it is not age appropriate. This is why the ESRB was created, and of course all the other region-specific rating systems. This is why they were created. So that kids cannot walk into a game store and just instantly purchase a rated M game and cannot purchase a game that is full of killing and this dehumanizing that they're talking about. If a child this game is not age appropriate for is playing this game, then we need to look at the parents. The parents are obviously, probably, not actually watching what their kids are doing. And the thing is parents have to purchase these games for their children, or it has to be maybe like a sibling. And that also is another thing. If a sibling is purchasing and playing the games and then the child plays them, that also falls under the responsibility of the age-appropriate sibling or the adults for not putting the games away, locking them up so the kids cannot actually play those games, so they are in a cabinet or something that they cannot reach. You cannot blame so not that you cannot blame adults, you cannot Kids cannot just randomly walk to the store and purchase a game like this. And if an adult is not doing their job, a parent is not doing their job, then we need to look at that. If parents were doing their job, and properly keeping the content away from the child, or discussing it with them, or watching their behavior while they played the game, and, you know, with other things like social media, maybe we wouldn't be hearing about this. That's the thing, is kids cannot get their hands on these type of things, and you also have to consider the other forms of media. I wonder when they purchase games, do employees have to tell them they are not suitable for children? So it depends on if the parent... So the thing is it depends on if the child is there or not. Because you have to consider around, like, birthdays or something like Christmas or the holidays that you may celebrate where you're exchanging gifts. A parent might go into a store, buy the game console and a couple of games, and they're obviously not with the child, so the employee is not going to tell them it's not child appropriate because there's no child with them. But the thing is it's the parent's responsibility, I feel. If an adult or a parent is purchasing a game for someone that, for a child that is not, this game is not age appropriate for, maybe the parents should do a little bit more research themselves. They should also look at the rating of the game, look up the reviews of the game, actually know what they are purchasing. You cannot blame the gaming industry and gamers for the lack of parenting on those adults' parts. That's the thing. I'm sure that, you know, I'm sure that a lot of parents, I'm just gonna say, do know what they are giving their child. But you also have to consider they should be paying attention. Echo? There's an echo now? Echo? Is there an echo now? Echo? Good? Okay. I'm so sorry, guys. Sometimes this microphone really doesn't like me, and sometimes it just, I don't know why. Like, I'm not moving it, so I don't know why it's, like, just randomly deciding to flip out on me and have an emotional spaz attack at me. I'm sorry. My microphone is very emotionally unstable. I do my best to keep it happy, okay? Embarrassing when you get an echo. It's good acoustics. Hello, Grizz. How are you doing? Bought Mass Effect Andromeda for an 8-year-old, father fail? No, that's the thing, is that you knew what you were giving your child, though, and you felt as though your child was responsible enough to play it. You felt as though... The thing is you knew what you were purchasing for your child. As long as you know what you're purchasing for your child, then that's completely different. The thing is a lot of parents, I feel like just don't know what they're purchasing their child. That's just it. Why can't they use parental controls? Again, there's already things that are, you know, exist, like parental controls, that parents could be using. Grizzly's part of the problem? Damn. Soon the media will ban pinball if they want to blame anything gaming. Pinball, man. Whew, very violent. Should be banned. Censor that. Anyway, let's go to the last section. The role of professional groups. With so little evidence, why are people, like Matt Bevan, still trying to blame violent video games for mass shootings by young men? Can groups like the National Rifle Association seriously blame imaginary guns for gun violence? Do you guys think they can? Do you guys think that they can? It's a question to ask. A key element of the problem is the willingness of professional guild organizations such as the APA to promote false beliefs about violent video games. These groups mainly exist to promote a profession among news media, the public, and policymakers influencing licensing and insurance laws. They also make it easier to get grants and newspaper headlines. Psychologists and psychology researchers like myself pay them yearly dues to increase the public profile of psychology. In 2005, the APA released its first policy statement linking video games to aggression. However, my recent analysis of internal APA documents with criminologist Alan Copenhaver found that the APA ignored inconsistencies in methodological, I can never say that, problems in the research data. His closing statement is, it's bad enough that these statements misrepresent the actual scholarly research and misinform the public. That is exactly what I have been saying. But it's worse when those falsehoods give advocacy groups like the NRA cover to shift blame for violence onto non-issues like video games. The resulting misunderstanding hinders efforts to address mental illness and other issues such as the need for gun control that are actually related to gun violence. It was a really good article. I think that he did make a lot of good points. And his finishing statement is exactly what I said, is just people saying things like violent video games cause violence is just spreading misinformation to people that maybe do not know the difference. I knew nothing about games at the time. Poor Grizzly. Researchers never consult game developers. Strange, isn't it? I've actually seen recently some researchers, some articles of researchers that have actually consulted game developers, but most of the time, they do not. You are correct. Most of the time, they do not. And in the articles that I've seen that have are more recent, within the past like 2 years. So before that, they weren't really either. Buy your kid a Nintendo Switch. Hey, Nintendo Switches are great. Guys, if you don't own a Nintendo Switch, you should buy one. I was thinking it might be around Turok level from the N64. The consoles have parental controls, it's just a matter of them being used. Exactly, I mean, things like parental controls exist. And like I had said, if a child has their hands on a specific video game that might be not age appropriate, you should look at the adults that allowed them, or purchased the game or allowed them to play the game. Really quickly, I wanted to thank you all for being here for the talk stream. I do appreciate it. I do quite appreciate it. I don't think kids getting violent video games is the problem. It's violent people doing bad things. Well, exactly. You also have to consider that these people that are doing things, like all of these shootings and crimes, we need to be looking at their mental health. We need to not blindly blame it, and just actually look at the problems that they have. How many of these problem games are on the Switch? Depends on what you mean by problem games. Like violent games? Guns don't kill people. Death kills people. Okay. Right, Grim, you are completely right. It's not on the kids getting M-rated games. It's not. I just wanted to talk about it more because I did see quite a few comments earlier on the video talking about that. I mean, it's inevitably, you're right, not just the kids getting M-rated games. No, don't look at the problems. That would be racist and hateful. Mental health seems to be something that is not ever talked about or taken as seriously as it should. Now, right. If people are influenced by Fortnite, shouldn't they be building for no reason? Yeah, they should be. People should just be building random structures everywhere, you guys. Guns don't kill people. People kill people. Alright, you guys. I think that's all that I really wanted to touch on with this topic. Because I did talk about it in a video earlier, so if you have not seen that video, please go and check it out. But, yeah. Moving to the next thing on the list, is CloudFlare terminating 8chan service. After, actually, all of these news media outlets have blamed video games and also 8chan. So, this is a One Angry Gamer article. Vera shilling for her own vids? Yeah, shill. Go, watch it. CloudFlare has announced that following the false reports that 8chan radicalized the El Paso, Texas and Dayton, Ohio shooters, they are terminating their services for 8chan. The media bombarded the security and internet support outfit with requests for termination of its service for 8chan, and they conceded. This has been a hot topic today, about 8chan. 8chan? Did I miss 5, 6, and 7chan? Or is this like Final Fantasy? Oh my gosh. 8chan is a 4chan clone. So this is the original tweet that was put out. CloudFlare CEO tells me the company is cutting off 8chan's access to its DDoS protection service. After all, a big reversal from earlier in the day, because there's been like a lot of like tweets going on and whatnot, a lot of just social media talk around 8chan and whatnot. And they actually said that they were not going to terminate their service and they were going to stick by them, and they changed their mind. There are other DDoS protection services, so this doesn't mean 8chan is going offline for good, but the ban, which kicks it in at midnight tonight, will make it harder to keep the site online in the short term. 8chan has been being attacked, and it says right here, the El Paso shooter specifically referenced another incident, and appears to have been inspired by the largely unmoderated discussions on 8chan, which glorified the previous massacre. There has been recently a lot of these shooters that have specifically gone to 8chan. So now, these look at CloudFlare, they're not going to support 8chan anymore. The topic with this is that they're picking and choosing who they are giving service to. If 8chan is going to be under heat for this happening, and open discussion forums that they moderate, but they cannot moderate everything. Of course, they take down things if something serious happens, of course. What about other websites? What about another website like Twitter? There are people, like shooters, that you know, partake in crimes like these, that will post what they're doing, or will post things like their manifestos on Twitter. Why isn't Twitter going to be regulated now? And why not the other social media sites is a large question that people are debating right now. What about Facebook? It is not this one specific website that is used by these types of people. Grim, take down Twitter! Guys, let's take down Twitter. But seriously, if one website is going to be blamed, then all of them should be blamed. Because Twitter always takes action after it happens. 8chan does too. If something happens, 8chan will take it down immediately. And 8chan has taken it down immediately. Of course, it's how social media works. People will always repost things. People will screenshot and archive things, and they will still have that information and post it on other websites or that again. But it's still the fact of, it's not just one website that this is happening on. This happens on many other websites. Any form of social media, this happens on. 8chan is among the more than 19 million internet properties that use CloudFlare's service. We just sent notice that we are terminating 8chan as a customer effective at midnight tonight Pacific time. They have proven themselves to be lawless, that lawlessness has caused multiple tragic deaths. Even if 8chan may not have violated the letter of the law in refusing to moderate their hate-filled community, they've created an environment that revels in violating its spirit. There are plenty of websites that do not actually regulate their users or regulate their communities. There are other websites and social media platforms that don't. They've proven themselves to be lawless. It's not like it's the owners or the creators of this website doing these things. It is an open forum type of website that plenty of people go on and post. Yes, there are people that have done these awful things, that have posted their open letters and like their plans and whatnot on this, but they've also posted on other things. They've also posted on other things. A lot of these shootings were also, they've recorded themselves and like live streamed it to things like Facebook and Twitter. How is that the fault of Facebook or Twitter? Pornhub spreads love, not hate. Why does Facebook get to stay up when terrorists post there? If you're going to censor one, then all of them need to be censored. Because they're not all controlled. That's social media, though. People have the opportunity to post whatever's on their minds. Yes, it usually gets reported and taken down very quickly. But it still is a phenomenon that happens on other websites. I think Jimmy Wong said this: thoughts and prayers are just a convenient excuse to take no action. Someone made a good point, just blame the shooter. Facebook is completely controlled. It's completely controlled, but that doesn't mean that things are not posted there. There are shooters that have live streamed themselves and, committing awful, awful acts, and that still stayed up for 2 hours, 3 hours. It stayed up long enough for people to archive it, create copies of it, and distribute it to other platforms. That's the fault of Facebook, then. Facebook is not doing their good job, because it still happens on other sites. Censorship certainly isn't a remedy to a problem big tech like CloudFlare keeps escalating by creating division and discord. Then again, even if it wasn't the tech companies behind the tools people use every day in their online activities, there's still the problem with propaganda being pushed by the media. That's the thing, is everyone can voice their opinions no matter what they're thinking, and that does put a lot of pressure on, companies. You also have to consider that a lot of this stuff does put pressure on companies when so many people are voicing their distaste. It causes companies to have a knee-jerk reaction to something without thinking it through. I heard the FBI were onto the 8chan shooter days ago, but they failed to act. Because it's so early on and it did just happen, there's a lot of things being said. I'm not sure what the truth is, but yeah. It's another form of big tech censorship. You're choosing who you are giving service to and who you are not giving service to. And that's something that we've seen recently with big tech, companies doing that to even users. I mean, it's happening more and more. As you can see, there's nothing there that would force someone to become a mass killer, since the game doesn't look anywhere near as realistic as Arma 3. It's just the conversation of blaming video games again, because that's what they did. As I say, how long are we gonna let and ignore the fact that the federal level, particularly where the video game industry, in this manifesto that we believe is from the shooter, this manifesto, he talks about living out his super soldier fantasy on Call of Duty. We know that it's bigger than the movie industry and the music industry combined. But the video game industry has not always been that way, so why were you not blaming movies and music before? I mean, they were blaming music a little bit more before the video game industry really spiked, but why were they never blaming movies? And it goes back to the same conversation we had before. And there have been studies that say games impact people and studies that say they do not. But I look at the common denominators. As a 60-something father and grandfather myself, what's changed in this country? Do your research. And don't blame something you have no clue about. Stop blaming something you have no clue about. We've always had guns, we've always had evil, but what's changed where we see this rash of shooting? And I see a video game industry that teaches young people to kill. I'm curious then, why, if we look at somewhere like Japan, where a lot of large video games are developed, why in a place of 127 million people are there less than 10 gun-related deaths a year? In another region that video games and things like, anime and whatnot, heavily are heavily looked at pastimes in these places. Actually, youth crimes are down, they are. What's more is that the Office of Juvenile Justice and Delinquency Prevention statistics show that youth crimes have been dropping rapidly over the years. Arrests are down, robberies are down, and murders are down compared to the 1980s and 90s. I just wanted to point out that, with the 8chan thing, it's just another form of large tech censorship. And I'm sure that we are going to see a lot more topics like this in the future. I'm sure we're going to see a lot more discussions about this type of thing in the future. And we'll have to see how that goes. The next topic that I wanted to talk about is Ooblets developer. And this has been a topic going on for like a week and a half now. And I haven't talked about it yet because I really wanted to see how it played out. So the developers are mocking gamers for being angry at the Epic Game Store exclusivity. I don't think that it's gamers so in a way, yes, gamers are very angry at the Epic Game Store exclusivity. I definitely think so, because whenever we hear something become an Epic Game Store exclusive, oblets, how do you want me to say it? I've heard people say it both ways. It's like Okitra. Everyone says it differently. Yes, gamers are very angry when developers promise for a game to be on multiple platforms and to not be an exclusive game, and then they turn around and make it an exclusive game. People do not like that, obviously, and that creates a whole nother problem. But they announced that their Animal Crossing inspired slice of life sim would be an Epic Games Store exclusive when it launches, whenever that is. They made a condescending blog post, and after joking about Karl Marx, because it's something hipster liberals love to do while not realizing that in a communist society, they would, okay, Billy. They talk about the exclusivity deal, writing, okay, so goofing aside, yes, we've signed with Epic for PC launch exclusivity. It's incredible news for us, and I'm hoping you can all be excited about it too. We asked Epic if we could talk frankly about the situation, and they were like, whatever. So here's a bit of insight into what all this means and why we did it. It's because Epic gave them a fat stack of cash. Who is Epic and what are you talking about? We know what Epic is. Epic paying for PC exclusives have become the latest thing gamers, TM, for trademarked, have gotten angry about. Of course, gamers are going to be angry that you make a game exclusive. They were promised something and then you're changing your mind on it. Because Epic doesn't yet have the same market share as their competitors, they offered us a minimum guarantee on sales that would match what we'd be wanting to earn if we were just selling the game across all stores, which is why they took it. Because they were guaranteed a specific amount of money. That takes a huge burden of uncertainty off of us because we now know that no matter what, the game won't fail and we won't be forced to move back in with our parents. Wow, what a joke. Ha ha. Now we can just focus on making the game without worrying about keeping the lights on. And I do understand, in a way, that yes, developers need to go where they feel safe. And if they are being promised a certain amount of money, which could be used to tweak their game, perfect it a little bit, of course, I'm not really mad at them for that. The thing is the way that they're talking to gamers and how they're treating people that are upset. They're telling them to suck it up and deal with it. It's also really disappointing to see folks threatening to pirate a game just because they can't get it on the game launcher they're used to. Of course people are going to say that because people do not want to support the Epic Game Store. If this was becoming an exclusive to somewhere like Steam or GOG, they would not be as angry because those game platforms have been around for years and they have trust in them. The Epic Game Store came out of nowhere and people do not have the trust in it yet. Of course people are going to say that they're going to pirate it. You also have to consider how many of those people are just saying that to piss the developers off. Feeling like you're owed the product of other people's work on your terms or else you'll steal it is the epitome of the word entitlement that people use to discuss immature, toxic gamers. Guys, toxic gamers, you're all toxic. Toxic, immature toxic gamers. Yeah, well, these are the immature toxic gamers that you try to market your game to, so maybe you shouldn't call them those things. I get the appeal of wanting to seek out things to get very angry about. Venting anger is cathartic and natural, but let's have just a little perspective about what we decide to get angry about. Look at then they turn it around to become a real world issue. Look at the things going on around you and ask yourself if there might be anything just a tad more worthwhile to be upset about. They go on to say climate change and human rights abuse. That's the best you could come up with. This kind of condescending response for people could have otherwise been a consumer is most the counterproductive attitude a developer could take. Now, there has been an update to that today, which is Epic actually released a statement on this situation because the developers are saying that they are being harassed. The statement that they made was this: we at Epic Games have often shared our views about the game business and the companies in it, and we support the entire game community's right to speak freely and critically about these topics, including the topic of Epic, our products, and our store. When everyone shares their earnest views, the best ideas ultimately prevail. The announcements of this game highlighted a disturbing trend which is growing and undermining healthy public discourse, and that's the coordinated and deliberate creation and promotion of false information, including fake screenshots, videos, and technical analysis, accompanied by harassment of partners, promotion of hateful themes, and intimidation of those with opposing views. Epic is working together with many game developers and other partners to build what we believe will be a healthier and more competitive multi-store world for the future. We remain fully committed, and we will steadfastly support our partners through these challenges. The challenges of them insulting people that are supposed to buy their game and people just not being happy with that. Many thanks to all of you that continue to promote the advocate for healthy, truthful discussion about the game's business and stand up to all manners of abuse. We are having truthful discussions. We're discussing the Epic Game Store. This is all truthful discussions. None of this is fake. I mean, the developers have been mocking people that are very angry with the fact that they went to Epic Game Store exclusivity. I understand that these developers feel as though they made the right decision. They thought that, they were getting a specific amount of money up front. They knew how much money they were going to make. And yes, they felt more confident in that fact where it's good to know that you are definitely going to be making a certain amount of money. But with responding to your player base this way is not okay. You need to say, we understand that people are very disappointed that we went to Epic Game Store exclusivity. Do not just start actually blaming players for being angry. To be fair, there were fake screenshots of a developer saying gas all gamers. Yes, and that's the thing. Fake screenshots are made in a lot of situations. Fake screenshots, memes, offensive jokes, they're made in a lot of situations. It's not just this specific situation. But calling your potential customers toxic is of course going to get people upset, and people are not going to be happy when you are calling them toxic, and that you're saying that, well, we could care less about your business because we were already guaranteed a specific amount of money. Just the way that it is. That's all that I really wanted to discuss with it. Anything that is not tied to, anything that is not tied to what they want and the narrative that they want to push, that their platform is great and it's going to be life-changing for gamers. If it's negative feedback, they don't like that. Whether it's to their developers, their business, them, whoever. Bear's getting heated AF? No, I'm not getting heated. I just, as someone that would purchase a game, I don't want to be called toxic, and, I don't want them to call potential gamers toxic and all of these awful things. I just bumped my mic. I don't think that we can excuse this attitude from Epic because of a few screenshots. Bear's the hero the gamers need and the one we deserve. Well, thank you. I appreciate it. I do my best. So I have two more topics to discuss tonight. One of them is was brought on by the fact that Ninja had moved to Mixer and abandoned Twitch. And I don't want to specifically talk about Ninja, but I do want to talk about just the situation in general. How I feel about, a large talent switching from one platform to another. Now, Twitch has been taking a lot of heat over the past few weeks. We had the Alinity situation with all of the things that she did. And, everything that happened there, and then the double standards of them not banning people like Alinity, but then, of course, them banning people that were maybe smaller, less-known names on the platform for doing almost the same exact things. So definitely, this does tie into that. But, yes. This was the statement that he made. I'm incredibly grateful for the opportunities Twitch has provided me, but as I look at the next step in my career, I want it to be somewhere that empowered me to push the boundaries of gaming and achieve bigger goals within the industry. Mixer provides me with way more ways to connect with my community. I wonder, honestly, how much money Microsoft gave him. Just to throw that out there. I've heard maybe around like the $6 million range, maybe the $8 million range. Ninja gave up 14 million followers on Twitch for almost 300,000 subscribers over on Mixer as of writing this article. It's a little bit higher now, but still. I think that this is good. I think Ninja leaving Twitch is good for platforms, you know, like Mixer, and the other ones, even, you know, things like DLive, because it is redistributing talent. It creates room on platforms like Twitch for other people to grow and to flourish, for people to get more recognition, because not everyone is going to this one person's stream, and of course it just creates more of a number balance on the platform. But also, when you look at the side of Mixer, it also creates a great situation for Mixer, because so many of his fans are moving up.
Can you nab me one of those sexy anime grill mouse pads? I'll pay you back, P.
Thank you for the $3 donation. I very much so appreciate it. Oh, yeah. The One Angry Gamer mouse pads. They're great. But this also creates a very good situation for Mixer as well, because he's bringing his fans over. And that also creates the fact that if there's people that are streaming or creating content on Mixer, they also have the potential to all of his viewers and the people that are moving from Twitch to Mixer to watch him. And that also creates a very good situation for the platform as well. I am glad in a way that he left, because I think that Twitch really needs to sort themselves out. Twitch has been very they've been showing a lot of favoritism lately. If you are a big streamer, you can get away with anything, but if someone does something else and they are not as large of a streamer, they do not get away with anything and they get banned. Or they get in trouble. And I do not think that that is okay. I think that this is good. I think that maybe Twitch will get a taste of their own medicine now, and they will realize that they need to enforce their guidelines and their restrictions properly. They need to stop with the bias. But I am glad that, you know, this lessens the fact of a monopoly with Twitch. Twitch has and still has a pretty good monopoly on these streaming services, like the streaming platforms, and I think we all know that at this point. You know, they've been the largest for so long, and even PewDiePie going to DLive didn't really touch Twitch, mainly for the fact that PewDiePie was not a streamer. He did not stream on a very normal basis, of course, so he didn't bring as many people over, maybe, as Ninja did, because Ninja, of course, is a streamer. He's bringing people that want to watch streams over. It's not like going from one format to another format. I just think that this is all good for maybe smaller content creators, because now they could try their hand at Mixer, or they could continue to try with Twitch, and maybe this will be positive for what's going on. I hope that this will turn out to be a positive situation. And of course it's good for Ninja, because he probably got like $8 million out of it. Let's be honest, he probably got like $8 million out of it. I just don't see this as a bad situation. In my opinion, at least. There's interesting gaming news that I stumbled across. Yeah, sure. From what I've heard, Mixer is very heavy on the censorship too. The thing with Mixer is that they have, maybe it could be seen as more strict guidelines when it comes to their content creators, But they actually stick to their guidelines, which is the difference between them and Twitch. They actually stick to their guidelines that they have put out, and released. Oh, the MCU. Did you all hear about the director of Venom 2? I'll talk about this really quickly, which was interesting. They announced it today. Andy Serkis is going to be directing Venom 2, which I was pretty interested to see. My thing with it, we'll talk about it really quickly, with the MCU is I'm not necessarily sure if he's going to do a good job or a bad job. He has only directed a couple of smaller movies. Venom 2 is not in the MCU. I'm just talking about, like, movies in general. Okay, I guess I should specify Marvel and just general movies. Because I just wanted to talk about this. So you guys were talking about that, and then it reminded me of this topic. How do you guys feel about this? I think that he's obviously a very great voice actor. But he has directed 3 movies. He has directed very few movies at this point. It kind of worries me, honestly. Venom 1 isn't part of the MCU. I was just talking about kind of like movies and comic book characters in general. Sure, give him a shot. I'm going to give him a shot. I like the work that he's done. Not really any of his directing things or anything, but I thought it was kind of interesting that when they announced that today, actually. I have hope for it. I do have hope for it. But when it comes to all of these movies, I'm starting to lose interest in them. I mean, going back to talking about the MCU very quickly, when it comes to the MCU, and the way that the director of Thor Ragnarok and the next Thor has been talking to fans on the internet and saying, well, I'm gonna do what I want with female Thor, that he's calling Mighty Thor. I'm worried for the future of movies like this in general. Not specifically this one, not specifically Thor, Love and Thunder, just movies that have to do with superheroes, vigilantes, that general theme. Too many superhero movies. I agree. Whether it is the MCU or it is not, there are too many just superhero movies. I felt as though it was a great concept when they kind of started really doing the MCU. What was it, 11 years ago? 12 years ago at this point? 11 years ago. It was 2008, right? But as time goes on, we're seeing all of these movies, a lot of them feel very forced. And that's what I do not like about them. They're still trying to feed off of this rush that they saw with Phase 1 and Phase 2 of Marvel. And so everyone feels as though they can do it. Fox feels like they can do it. Amazon did it with The Boys. We see DC, we see Marvel. I mean, we see so many, even just knockoffs. Even look at something like Brightburn. It's the evil Superman. We're just seeing everyone trying to put their own spin on superheroes and classic superheroes and vigilantes, where it's so forced at this point, and it just feels not great. I'm starting to really not loving seeing all of these things all the time. Anyway, I just wanted to rant about that for a minute, because I didn't know if any of you saw that, and I thought it was a pretty interesting topic. Just kind of the future of, superhero movies and Phase 4 of Marvel, what DC's doing now that they had to replace all their actors. They're kind of going into another phase of things. We see all of these companies kind of trying to capitalize on the superhero themes and whatnot. So that's why I brought it up. I just want my Defenders movie, damn it. I just want a good X-Men movie. What is The Boys? Oh, you should look it up. It just came out. It was an Amazon show. It was okay. Doctor Strange, Hulk, Silver... yeah. Doctor Strange. That's my guy. Anyway, this is one of the last things that I wanted to talk about tonight. If there's anything else that you guys want to discuss, for sure let me know. X-Men, yes. I love the X-Men, I'm sorry. I'm a fan. Tim Sweeney said, was this today? Yeah, this was today. Well, I think that he made the statement a couple of days ago. Tim Sweeney says Epic Games doesn't know how to finish the Unreal Tournament game. Oy. Epic Games. Epic. The company that acts like they know everything that's good and bad for the gaming industry, that thinks that they are the gods among mortals, that know just the future and they can see the future and see everything good, but they don't know how to finish a game. And this is why we're not seeing the game, because they don't know how to finish it. I'm out early, have fun. Thanks for streaming, Fair. Thank you for stopping by. I very much so appreciate it. If you don't know, Unreal Tournament 2014 was a first-person shooter developed by Epic Games. The 9th installment in the Unreal franchise for PC also had crowdsourced help, needing work on the game. We know what crowdsourcing is. However, the game is dead as of now, which is a shame. I like the Unreal Tournament games. I know that it's kind of a franchise and a series that maybe not everyone in a way loves. I've always been a fan of it though. I even played Unreal Tournament when it was in, when it had like a free weekend after, not this past E3, but the E3 before. There was like 2 weeks where you could play Unreal Tournament for free, and I did play it. I streamed it actually, but Tim Sweeney reportedly says the team doesn't know how to finish the game. How do you not know how to finish the game? Do you want to know the reason why the game has fallen out of the light and been shelved for 5 years? Hey Tim, why did you cancel Unreal Tournament? The amount of money you have, and you canceled it. You could easily get the old team back and finish it. Hello? Can you not? You can finish it up for the fans. Why won't you? Not about the money, right? There are two considerations. First, many core developers on Unreal Tournament drove early Fortnite Battle Royale. Worried about Fortnite, guys. Second, we don't know how to finish Unreal Tournament as the project was highly experimental and hadn't found its success? What does it say? Oh, found its essence. Anything that is not tied to Fortnite, they do not want to give a chance. Because they want to make as much money as possible. And if this game is not going to make as much money as Fortnite, why the hell would they care about it? Which in a way is I want to say a smart way for kind of developers to think and companies to think, because if they have this one thing that they can capitalize a ton on, why don't they just focus on that? But this has been a project that has been in the works for so many years now. Why do you just not actually release it the way that it... Now I get it. This game is probably not done. It is probably not close to being done. But why do they just not, like, polish it up a little bit, tweak it a little bit, release it, and then just allow, like, the modding community to finish it? The modding community finishes, like, 50% of games at this point. Why not just release it for people to enjoy just because they want to enjoy it? Why? I don't see the point. They just want to capitalize on that Fortnite money as much as they can, and they don't even want to put some developers on it because they're admitting that the core developers left the project early to worry about Fortnite. More like 20%? I don't know. It's a pretty high percent. That's actually something that I should look into. Maybe not 50%, but at least like 30%, I'd say. But definitely, it's so disappointing to hear Tim Sweeney, of all people, say that we just don't know how to finish it. And what do you even mean by finish it? Do you still have to create parts of the game? Is the core basis of the game done and you just have to polish it? That's the thing, is they're not even giving us another, they're not giving us any more reason to it. And yes, exactly, they could just give it to someone else. You know what? There are plenty of developers, I am sure, that would be okay with finishing the game. Even if it's only 20% done, 30% done, 40% done, however much it's done, I'm sure that there's another developer that would love to be able to work on it. And that would work on it. The worst part is that most of us were willing to do the work, and in fact did, but the process to actually get content contributed to the game was so arduous, it might as well have not existed, and the developers were rarely on the forums. All of the gameplay decisions were handed down to the unwashed modder masses from on high, and were almost always kept intact regardless of the community reactions. In the year and a half I worked on it, nothing of mine was ever officially accepted, and only 2 people I knew had anything go into an official build. It sounds like they were being so specific about what was going into this game. They were being so nitpicky that this is why the game doesn't actually exist. This is why they didn't ever release it. This was said back in 2017. Everyone saw that the development was going nowhere, and people gradually left. It didn't help that more than once the developers explicitly confirmed that they were primarily being tasked to work on Paragon, the MOBA that got cancelled, with Unreal Tournament being more of an afterthought. That is so disappointing to hear. Seriously? You were so worried about a MOBA? You stopped worrying about Unreal Tournament? Seriously? It's so disappointing because it sounds like they were seriously trying to put as much work as they could into it, and then they said, nothing of mine was ever officially accepted, and only 2 people I knew had anything go into an official build. It sounds like they were being so nitpicky and so specific with what went into the game and what didn't, that is ultimately what killed the game. And that's just, it's sad to hear. It's disappointing to hear. Tim's making an excuse knowing full well that the game wouldn't meet expectations. Well, that's also true too. It's because he's so cocky. He doesn't want to admit defeat or admit that something might be less than perfect. He doesn't want to release a bad/mediocre game until the negative press around Epic Games Store cools off. That's also true. But even looking back to a year and a half ago, there wasn't as much negative press around Epic Games Store as there is now. You have to consider that too. I did read your last comment. I will have to look it up after stream. I'll have to look it up though, and I'll get back to you on it. But yeah, I mean, it's disappointing to hear. As a fan of this series, it's disappointing to hear that they gave up working on this game for Fortnite. I understand that it's their main moneymaker, but it's still disappointing to hear. That's all that I really wanted to talk about tonight, you guys. If there was anything that you guys wanted to discuss, now is the time to discuss it and let me know. We'll probably end stream in just a couple of minutes, but I do appreciate all of you guys being here. I do very much so appreciate that, but I'm here to chat for a couple of minutes. If there's any questions or things that you guys want to talk about. I will also look up what you were discussing. I didn't hear about it, so I'm not exactly sure. Thank you, Vera. No problem, Cinder. How are you doing, Cinder? I hope that you're doing good. Chinese Zelda fans protest the Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild ripoff. Oh, I did hear about this. I have to look more into it, though, definitely. Raging Zelda fan snatches PlayStation 4 over it. Oh my god. Oh, that is so random, but that's absolutely hilarious. There is. Did you get any more nice mounts in game yet in World of Warcraft? The most recent mount that I got was Invincible. I haven't gotten really whoops, bumped my mic. I haven't really gotten anything else recently. The luck has not been with me. Hey, we got your favorite thing, disappointment. Exactly. It's so just disappointing to hear all of these things. And again, looking at Epic Games Store, a lot of the problem, you know, does unfortunately go to the fact that they're grabbing up games left and right and making them exclusives, but it is also the fact that the developers, like the Ooblet situation, the developers act like because they're getting so much money up front that they do not actually need the fans anymore. They do not actually need people to buy their game. Bad story time will never end until you get a turtle mount in WoW. I want that turtle mount so bad. I want a turtle mount so bad. Just so you guys know, the streaming schedule the rest of the week. Wednesday, we will be doing Titan's Table at 7 p.m. Eastern. Thursday, I will be playing some Magic the Gathering Arena. And then Saturday, I'm not sure yet what I'm going to be playing yet Saturday. I will let you guys know. If you guys have any game suggestions for Saturday, please let me know. And then, of course, next week, on a Monday, per usual, another talk stream. I've been trying to do these talk streams at least once a week because I know that you guys do enjoy them. I would consider going to twice a week, but I feel like I don't want to say I don't have enough topics to discuss, but I feel like I don't want to wear you guys out with them because I do like actually showing gameplay and actually playing new releases and whatnot. Hey Vera, did you get the screenshot that I sent to you through Twitter? I have not checked Twitter since I started streaming, but I will check it afterwards. Are you ever going to do a video game Titan's Table? Yes, I've actually been discussing that with a few people. A Titan's Table, a video game version of Titan's Table. I have been talking to people, maybe, to come on video game Titan's Table. We'll specify it as that. So yeah, that's definitely in the works. That will be happening and starting within the next couple of weeks. I've just been looking for other people to have on. Because, you know, people like Undying, which is a normal host, and Asfara, while they do know some about games, I want to try to bring other content creators and whatnot on as well. I'm not sure what day that we'll partake on yet. I don't know if that would be the Wednesdays we don't do Titan's Table, or if maybe that would be Saturdays. I've had some requests to do, you know, talk streams or like video game streams on Saturdays, so I would consider doing you know, Titan's Table on Saturdays as well. Have you ever considered streaming any fighting games? Yeah, I mean, I play a lot of fighting games. I just don't have a lot on PC. I usually purchase my fighting games on other platforms like PlayStation or Xbox. Well, I used to purchase them on PlayStation. I do not have a lot on PC right now, but definitely, you know, kind of a genre that I would consider playing more. Definitely. I just haven't seen a ton partake. Well, you know, it's not just me talking to myself. But yeah, definitely will be doing a video game Titan's Table in the next couple of weeks. I will buy you a copy of Killer Instinct if I have to. I don't have it on PC. There are so many new games that are coming out that I'm interested in. None of them are really fighting games though. To think about it, like, most of the fighting games have come out recently have sparked my interest, and I have played a lot of them, but not a whole lot of new ones are on the horizon. That's for sure. I do, like I had said, I've said it like 2 or 3 streams now, but on Patreon I have a public post you guys can go and look at to see the new games, just the games in general that I do plan on playing in the future, you know, new ones and whatnot. Nothing fighting related. But yeah, one that people have asked me if I was going to be playing was Code Vein. I've been considering that. Not sure if I will play it or not yet. But that's definitely one. Okay, I hit Steam last year. Thoughts on the Riot fighting game in the works? It's definitely interesting to know that Riot is working on a fighting game. But honestly, I don't have much to say on it just because we know nothing about it. Besides the fact that they're working on a fighting game. We don't know the theme of it. We don't know how it's going to be, when it's going to release. We have no clues about it yet. So I think that it is interesting to know that Riot is going to be creating a fighting game here soon. And that is definitely something I will be keeping my eyes on for sure. Sword and Shield, that'd be sweet. I actually didn't play the last round of Pokemon games, surprisingly. I would consider playing Sword and Shield, but I'm not sure. Whatever opinions we have about fighting games, the one thing we can all agree on is we should never purchase Mortal Kombat 11 or any other Mortal Kombat games that come after it. Agreed. Sword and Shield sounds awful. I don't think it sounds awful. I think that it sounds different, though. I definitely want to see more of it before I decide I need to play this game, or one of the games. I think the Riot game will be influenced, to be honest. I'm not gonna lean to saying that just because we don't have a lot of information on it yet. We don't know who's working on it. We don't know what it's going to be about. We have no real clues. Riot is hiding everything. Riot is actually hiding everything, but I'm not mad at that. You know, I am not mad at Riot kind of hiding things. Because, yeah, they're really bad at hiding things, but they actually hide the very important things that we don't need to know about until the last minute when they're ready to spoil them. The sequel to Spider-Man Far From Home is excellent. My friend lives in another time zone when the movie came out already. Nice. I got a few inside rumors that it's influenced. Doesn't sound good. Well, I suppose we'll see when that information comes out, and we'll see how that turns out. Have you played Final Fantasy XIV? I have. How many people still play Final Fantasy XI? Not sure. I'm not sure, honestly. Final Fantasy XI MMO populations. It says it's ranked 30 out of 114. Daily players are 70,000. So, in general, there's like 70,000 people logging in daily. Which is great. That's really great, actually. The game score is poor, but still. But yeah, I am going to end stream in just a minute. Thank you all so much for hanging out past 2 hours. I very much so appreciate it. I will be streaming, of course. Again, on Wednesday, we will be doing Titan's Table at 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Eastern. I'm sorry about confusion. If you didn't see today's video, please make sure to go and check it out. I know that the topic was one that just was brought up today and yesterday, but I felt as though it was very important to make. Please go and check it out. I miss the original Halo's online servers. I do too. Rest in peace. But yeah, I'm going to head out. Thank you guys for your donations tonight. I very much so appreciate it. Thank you guys for sticking around. I will be in Discord if you want to come around and hang out on Discord. I will be around, so make sure to join it. Here's the link in case you are not a part of it. Feel free to join. Also, make sure to follow me on Twitter if you are not already. Check out Patreon if you're not supporting the channel there. But thank you guys for hanging out. Next talk stream will be next Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern. Have a fantastic night, you guys.